few people been asking me questions about becoming a CWI. And the reason I became a CWI, I became a CWI in 1996. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I started welding in 1987. So I've been welding for over 30 years. And I went off to college and graduated in 1992. And right after graduation, I started working with this automatic welding company. And I started with this company in 1992. And 3 years later, they got kind of slow. So if you ever been in the oil and gas business, you know that you can go like maybe 2, 3, 4 years, everything's booming. Then all of a sudden, the wheels fall off. And this is how this oil and gas field is. But they did a layoff, but I wasn't one of the ones that was laid off in 1995. So I said, hey, I better get my certified welding inspector or become a certified welding inspector just to have a backup. So I did go take the test. I studied for 3 months on my own, and it's a very difficult test. And I wouldn't recommend nobody doing that. I would recommend that you go take the seminar through American Welding Society. They also have ones for Real Education and more companies out there. But it's I do have study materials on my welding site at www.weldingandstuff.net, and also have other materials. So if you're interested in taking any of this, you can go to my website at www.weldingandstuff.net. I got a lot of tests and things on there. But like I said, I got my CWI in 1996. I've been to a lot of places. I travel all over the world, India, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Spain, Germany, Canada. So I had opportunity to travel all to these places. It's great money and a good travel experience. And right now I also teach. I'm a certified welding educator. So I've been teaching for the last 7, 8 years, CWI courses. And I have a lot of students that have graduated and have good careers. A couple of them are teaching. I have some of them that are managers at companies. I have about maybe 15 students they're doing really good as CWIs. And like I said, if you want to get into this business, it's a good thing to have, because back in the days, usually you'll go on a project back in the 90s, early 90s, you would probably have 1 or 2 inspector on the whole project. Now today you can have up to 10, 15 inspectors on a project. So this inspection business is a good thing to be into, especially as a certified welding inspector. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email at weldingandstuff@gmail.com, or you can visit my website at www.weldingandstuff.net. I'm going to show you some examples on the board, especially on the part A, like it's 150 questions, but a lot of people are concerned with the part B. And part B is kind of difficult because it's only 46 questions. So you're only limited to missing a certain amount of questions. Like you have to score at least a 72 on each one of your exams. And this is how it works. So you got to have an accumulative average of 72. So if you make a 70 on part A, and you make a 72 on part B, and you make a 70 on part C, and you average those scores up together and you get a 71, even though you pass the part B with a 72, you got to take all 3 tests over again. So it's best to try to score high on each one of the tests just in case. So if you're good with the fundamentals part A, try to score 100. Because if you score 100 on part A and then you score 70 on part B and a 72 on part C, you just have to take the one you failed because you got an average greater than 72. So I'm going to give you an example of what we do here in my class. So I won't hold you up long. And what we do, we break everything down, especially on the part A. So on the part A, if we're doing something, say for instance, I'm telling my students we got a 70-18. Let me get this down low enough, maybe the camera's not right. We're looking at a E70-18. We also call this a low hydrogen electrode. Those are questions they're going to ask. We know that the E stands for electrode, and we know the 70 stands for 70,000 pounds per square inch. And at 70, that's the minimum. Then you have the 1, which tells you the position. And this 1 tells me I'm gonna weld that in all positions. And this 8 is my electrical characteristics. So on the 7018, the 8 lets me know I can weld on AC or DC, reverse polarity, they call it plus polarity. So we break all that stuff down so that my students can understand it. Look at this electrode. It's an ER70S. It's an ER70S-6. We're going to break this down right here. We know the E stands for electrode. We know the R lets me know that's a rod. When I talk about electrodes, that lets me know I'm running electricity through this. The rod, I hold it in my hand. And this 70 is 70,000 pounds per square inch tensile strength. This S lets me know, hey, that's a solid piece of wire. The 6, the chemical composition. So if this is a solid piece of wire, that lets me know this wire right here is used for MIG and TIG. So for MIG, it's an electrode because you got electricity running through it. So if you got electricity running through it, we'll use that for MIG. MIG stands for metal inert gas. And that's a non-standard term. The standard term is gas, metal, arc welding. So we're going to use that E, so it can be used as an electrode or a rod. For a rod, we're going to use it with TIG. TIG stands for tungsten inert gas. So you got tungsten inert gas. That's a non-standard term. The standard term is gas, tungsten, arc welding. So that's gas, tungsten, arc welding. In the old school, they used to call this heliarc. Because if you go back into history, you notice that they didn't discover argon. They found argon when they took air and they froze it to negative 800 degrees. Once you freeze air to negative 800 degrees, it turns to a liquid now. Then you heat it up. Then you find out, hey, you got 1% argon in the air, 20.9% oxygen, and you got 79% nitrogen. So that's where they start getting into this inert gas, TIG. TIG stands for tungsten inert gas. And inert gas is argon and helium. This is the type of gas that don't mix with any other gases. So when you start dealing with TIG, and here go how I teach my students. When you start dealing with TIG and stick, so TIG and stick, these are your non-standard terms. So TIG is gas, tungsten, arc welding. Stick is shielded metal arc welding. So when you start dealing with that type of stuff, now when you're dealing with TIG, you want your electrode is a non-consumable electrode. This is your TIG. And the atomic symbol for tungsten, this is a piece of tungsten, is a W. That's the atomic symbol. So you don't want to consume this piece of tungsten. So what you want to make this tungsten negative, and your workpiece, you want to make it positive. So I tell my students, if you want to destroy something, make it positive. So you start thinking positive things, or you start living your life positive, you get a lot of destruction. If you don't want to consume it, do negative stuff. So we're going to deal with 1/3 heat. 1/3 of your heat is on your negative, and your 2/3 is on your work. So we know the arc is about 12,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And we know the tungsten melting point is 6,170 degrees. So if tungsten melts at 6,170 degrees, and this arc is 12,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so 1/3 of your heat would be 4,000. So we know it's not going to consume it. So I don't want to consume that. So I make the electrode negative. If I want to make it consume, make it positive and turn your work negative. Because the electrons flows from negative to positive. Now, 12,000, you got 2/3 of your heat, which is 8,000 now. So what's going to happen to your piece of tungsten? It's going to be consumed. It's going to be consumed. So in stick rod with an E7018, we want to consume this. So if you want to consume a 7018, you make your electrode positive and you work negative. So now we know the melting point of regular steel is 2,795 degrees, about 3,000. Let's say 3,000 degrees. I want to consume it. You can consume it if you had it negative, but we're going to make it positive. So we know that 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit is going to consume this electrode. And then your 4,000 is going to be down here. So anytime you want to consume something, make it positive. You want to, if you're in life, you're doing something good, you want people to hate on you, do some positive stuff. You're going to have a lot of people want to destroy you. So in my class, I teach anything you want to destroy, make it positive. So I want to destroy this electrode in a 7018. I want to consume it. So I'm going to make that direct current electrode positive, and that will consume it. If I was dealing with TIG, I don't want to consume it. So I'm going to make it negative. So you see how that works? So when you're dealing with TIG and stick, you're dealing with constant current. So you're dealing with constant current. Constant current equals constant wattage. Wattage equals volts times amps. So wattage equals volts times amps. So when you're dealing with TIG and stick, so say for instance you weld and stick, we got a 60-10. And we putting a root bead in. I'll put a land, okay. Say for instance you got a 60-10, E60-10. If you want to get more penetration, what you want to do is bring your rod closer. The closer you do bring it, the more amperage you get. So if your amperage increase, what happened to your voltage? Your voltage decrease because it's trying to keep a constant wattage. So if I bring my electrode up, my voltage is going to go up, which is going to bring my temperature going to go up, but my amperage is going to go down. So what's going to happen, instead of getting penetration, you're going to get some suck back because you're bringing your rod up. So that's the good thing about welding and becoming a welding inspector. If you do 10 years in the welding field, then you come into your class, you will understand a lot of this CWI stuff, what I'm talking about. So it's good to know how to weld, but it's even better when you understand what you're doing. So if I want more penetration, I bring my rod closer, I get more amperage, but my voltage go down because I'm trying to keep a constant wattage. So that's how I take this class. It's just a simple stuff right here. We're talking about just an electrode. That's just a little bit of part A. If you understand just this part that we just discussed, you probably make on the part A, you probably make a 20-25. But in part A, we get into the metallurgy. You get the blueprint reading, fillet welds, you know, the position of your welds, your 1G, 2G, 5G, 6G. You got to know your 6GR. So it's a lot of stuff. You got to know the metallurgy. You got to know annealing, quenching, and tempering. What's following quenching is tempering. So you got to know all of that different stuff. I know I'm putting a lot of information out there, but trying to cram everything in 2 weeks, it's a lot of information you have to cram in 2 weeks. In the classes we teach here at the college, it's like a 3-month class. So we take our time and we understand, we break everything down and watch videos. Now, some of the students haven't ever welded before, which is, they take it in class because it's part of the curriculum. So this is what we do. If you want to go to my website and take some of my tests, my website is www.weldingandstuff.net. That website again is www.weldingandstuff.net. And I have tests over part A, B, and C. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email, and the email will be in the description. All right. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.